1982, I was in the Caribbean, in the island of St. Martin. It's the northeast of the Caribbean, with my girlfriend Jan at the time, and we were living and working on sailing yachts in the Bay of St. Martin, and we became really good friends with someone called Captain Jack. I don't tell a lie. Captain Jack. Captain Jack is what everybody called the Dutch owner and captain of a big, ancient, 100-foot, two-masted sailing schooner called the Dove, and it was moored in the Bay of St. Martin. And most evenings, around sunset, Jan and I'd get in our dinghy and we'd row over to where the Dove was moored, and we'd get on the back deck of the Dove, and we'd spend the evening with Jack and his Spanish deckhand Maria, and enormous quantities of rum and orange juice, fresh coconuts, and even more marijuana. And life was pretty idyllic. Well, at least for us it was. For us, it was really quite special. We had sailing boats, tropical island. The local rum was $1 a litre. Coconuts were free, oranges were just about free, and marijuana was just everywhere. So life was pretty cool for us. But for Jack, it was a little different. Very different, actually. Jack, at this point, had just about run out of money completely. He was penniless. He'd arrived a year and a half before in the Caribbean with the Dove after he'd spent 2 years doing it up and getting it to look just like an ancient 18th century pirate ship. And he'd gone the whole bit. He had big earrings in his ears, and then to top it off, there was even a parrot on the back deck. And it was called Mr. Bones. I kid you not. Anyway, the parrot on the back deck, and the idea was that Jack would take rich American tourists who'd arrive in the island every day with cruise ships around the island and give them that whole authentic Pirates of the Caribbean experience, and it was a romantic idea and lovely. It was just really sad that Jack's idea, sense of romance, was not matched by his sense of business, because Jack really wasn't no Jack Sparrow. He was no Johnny Depp, in spite of his earrings, and the Dove looked like it was not going to make it out of the harbour, and Maria spoke not one word of English, and the two of them would scream at each other all day, and then there was Mr. Bones, the parrot. The parrot did speak English very clearly, as a matter of fact, very loudly, but it said only one thing all day, every day, to anybody who came around: fuck off, fuck off, fuck off, all day. All day. Do you ever wonder what a parrot sounds like saying fuck off? That was pretty amazing. Anyway, so things were bad, no customers, no money. The Dove was rotting away before his eyes. The dreaded Dorado worm was burrowing its way through the timber hull. The engine was cantankerous, the sails had holes in them, paint was peeling. The ship didn't look like it was going to survive the rest of the week, let alone get out of the bay. So most evenings, Jack and Maria and Jan and I would gather on the back deck of the Dove and strategise, trying to find ways that we could get him out of the hole he was in, aided by lots of rum and marijuana, of course. And one idea would always, every night, just about come up, raise its head, because in St. Martin, as in the Caribbean generally at that time, and probably still now, marijuana was everywhere. I mean, it just about grew by the side of the road, and Jack had a ship. And sitting on the back deck of his ship, looking north, just across the horizon, you could just about smell it, was Miami. The four of us, of course, dismissed the idea all the time. You know, too dangerous, risky, not the right kind of ship, obvious, but possibly even some moral considerations, who knows, can't remember. But the idea was dismissed, but the idea was always there, right? It was always just in the background. Anyway, at the end of the season, Jen and I decide to leave the Caribbean. We go back to Holland, we get married, we have a baby, and we become generally responsible citizens of the Western world. And I take a job as a journalist on a newspaper in the north of Holland. Fast forward a year. 1983. I'm on the night shift in the editorial offices of the newspaper and stand in front of the bank of telexes. Some of you might remember what a telex looks like. They're big things that connect you with the news wires, Reuters, AAP, and I'm just there to check if there's any last-minute items I can still get into the early edition of the paper. When my eye is caught by this item on the Reuters wire, Miami Coast Guard arrests Dutch captain, seizes 3-ton marijuana, and went on to tell her, to give a name I only knew too well, and a story I could have only too easily anticipated a year ago, and I just felt so sad. I felt so sad because I knew the temptation was just become too great. You know, the siren call of the Miami drug markets just across the horizon with their promise of instant solution to all of Jack's problems was just always going to become irresistible for Captain Jack. I just wished that Miami's finest, the Miami Coast Guard officers, might have taken note of the opinion of the parrot.